Welcome to the Longevity Man podcast, where we delve into the minds of extraordinary men who have embraced self-care and longevity. My name is David Ito, a holistic life and wellness coach. We discuss all things longevity specifically for men, from healthy lifestyle choices to expert advice and inspiring real-life stories that will help you take action towards a healthier and longer life. Welcome to another Longevity Man podcast. Today, I'm very excited to have Jesse Lee. Jesse Lee is someone from our Facebook groups. He is a yogi. He is a yoga teacher. He is a father. He's a lot of things.
Like you said, my name's Jesse. I live in California, Southern California, born and raised, Ventura, California. I have been practicing yoga for about 20 years now. Like you said, there's a whole long list of things. I'm a father first. I would like to say, that's usually the first thing I tell people. I have 5 kids. And over the years, I'm still technically a stay-at-home dad, but I work from home. So it's like I'm a stay-at-home dad, work from home dad. And so that's kind of like the first thing that I do. I've been married for 20 years to the same amazing woman, my same partner.
I'd love to hear a little bit more about your yoga journey. I know you've been practicing for a really long time. I also want to let the audience know, watching this podcast, that Jesse is 6'7". All right, I want to throw that out there because a lot of guys who are bigger, taller, they're like, oh, I can't do yoga. I'm too big. I'm not stretchy enough. Well, here is the perfect example that yoga is for everyone. So please tell us a little bit about your yoga journey, like how you got started, where this was, like just a few details so that the guys understand what you're about.
Yeah, like you said, I'm 6'7". I'm very tall. I probably weigh about 280 pounds. I'm larger as well. And yeah, a lot of people will say, I don't want to do yoga. I'm not flexible. Like, you're not going to get flexible unless you do yoga. You don't go into it with expectations. You just start where you are. So yeah, I've been doing yoga for 20 years, and it wasn't until about 8 years ago, I got really serious with yoga. It became like a staple in my wellness journey. I was going to say my fitness journey, but it's more than it's my like overall wellness journey.
You mentioned 8 years ago, you really got into it. Like, what made you go deeply into your yoga practice?
I think I didn't hit a rock bottom, but I came pretty close. I had a really good friend of mine that I lost to suicide, my best friend. And so it derailed me a little bit. We ate a lot of food together. We drank a lot of alcohol together. So that was like our bonding thing. A lot of Modelo's and a lot of nachos. And my coping mechanism was that. And so I got big. I think at my heaviest, I was about 330 pounds. I was drinking a lot. I got to a point where I could, kill 3 bottles of wine a night. So that was kind of a preview of my rock bottom. I got to a part where I wasn't happy. And so I needed something. And so I just started doing some research, and I found some yoga specifically for guys. I needed something to focus on. And the thing I realize now when it comes to yoga is it's kind of a gateway to fitness, because it's simpler. Like when you're 330 pounds and you don't know what to do when you look in the mirror and you're disgusted, you don't know. It's hard to be like, oh, I'm going to go run 5 miles, or I'm going to go to the gym. Like if you can get up at 5 a.m. and do some yoga, just the act of getting up every morning and moving and trying to feel better about yourself and the body you're currently in. That's what it was for me. So I got up every morning. I found some yogaformen workouts on Amazon Prime, I think, and I did it every day. And I think I did it for a solid year, the same workout over and over. And then I started to feel better, and then I quit alcohol and I started eating better. So it was this catalyst that kind of helped me move into this better direction. And so, yeah, that was kind of that was 8 years ago. That was the kick in the ass that I needed.
You mentioned sobriety, you mentioned weight loss, like so much going on at the same time. How did you manage so much change at the same time?
It's one of those things where it's like focus small, miss small. And so it was, I won't say it was easy, but I knew that I had to make some changes, because I realized, based on like my family history, because alcoholism is big in my family. I've dealt with mental health issues myself over the years. I knew that something had to change, and so it was the wake up call that was like, okay, you need to change stuff because this is going to get a lot worse before it gets better. And so it was technically, it was a big step, but it was a small change that started. And so like it was legit. I got up at 5 a.m. every morning and I just did some yoga, and I quit the drinking part. I didn't do it through a program or anything, so it was definitely hard. But I knew that I had issues. Like I had self control issues when it came to alcohol, and so it was either all or nothing. I knew that I had to just walk away from it, and it's still something to this day that I have to explain to a lot of people because I can't just have one. So I'm just a clean cut, and it's been that way for 8 years now, and my life has been a lot better. I have a very supportive wife. We both actually, at the time that we did that, we both were going through this like fitness journey. We weren't doing the same thing, but we kind of. So I have a really supportive partner who was really patient with me when I was not the best. Like when I was drunk Jesse and not the best version of myself, she stood by me. So that made a big difference. And I have 5 kids. So at one point I went through the find your why exercise, and my answer always comes down to them. So like I knew that I had to be the best version of myself for them.
It's when we find purpose, real purpose, that it really fuels our capacity to change. I think for a lot of us, and I've been in that same situation, it's not being in touch with what really matters, with the purpose. And therefore, yes, we want to do this, we want to do that, but it's until we really grasp the real essence of the why, of the what's pushing me forward, what's really important for me. And a lot of guys don't find that sometimes ever, and others it takes them a really long time, because that's going to help you start to take care of yourself so that we can take care of others. And as you mentioned, like family, kids, spouse, partners, like we want to be part of their lives. We want to be our best version of ourselves so that we could be there for them. Your story is just a great example of like how we need to see the bigger picture to understand the why, the purpose, the motives of what we do. So, Jesse, how does your yoga practice influence your role as a father, husband, family man?
It plays a big part of it. When I started doing yoga, it was strictly physical. Like I needed something. I needed to be able to feel good in my body. That's my approach to yoga. As I always tell people, it's about accepting where you are right now and knowing that you have to change. But if you can't find comfort here and now, it doesn't matter where you're going to be. You're never going to be happy. So it's this piece of knowing, okay, I'm not where I want to be, but I need to be comfortable here. And so that's how it started. And so when I realized all the other benefits that come along with it, that's kind of where everyone benefited. Of course, being in better shape allows me to do things with my kids, allows me to be physically present, allows me to play with them, allows me to do all these things I wasn't able to do before. And also, like I mentioned before, I've struggled with mental health. I've struggled with anxiety. I've struggled with depression. I've had some really low parts of my life. Especially when I lost my friend Brett. And so it allowed me to kind of find my calm, which I still struggle with. I'm not always the calmest person, but I strive for it. There's a lot of mental clarity that comes with sobriety. And so that was a big part of just being able to like stay present, stay clear headed. And then, when I realized I had an issue, it's, you have to, you have to be honest with yourself, and then honest with your loved ones. Like, I'm struggling. I'm trying to better myself. And that's an inspiration. So I think those are kind of what has kind of helped me be a better father as well as a husband and a family man. And like I said, yoga was definitely a catalyst in that as well, because it's kind of evolved from, hey, I'm gonna get into better shape, to I'm gonna focus on my head as well as my heart. So it's, if I miss a yoga practice, I think I struggle more mentally than I do physically. Like if I miss a couple of days because life, I will feel it in my body. But those 2 or 3 days, if I have to, my head is what suffers the most, I think.
I'm just curious, Jesse. You said you have 5 children. So I'm trying to picture you. like surrounded with all these kids, and you're there on your yoga mat doing your thing, doing your breath work, you're doing meditations. Like, how do you manage to maintain a home yoga practice with five kids running around? Do you manage to bring them in and sit them down with you, or do you just block out and go inwards?
In all honesty, though, half my kids don't want to do yoga with me, and that's fine. My children range from 5 years old all the way up to 20. So there's a big spectrum there, but they all know the part it plays in my in my life and as well as theirs. You know, I'll be doing yoga on my mat, and there'll be cartoons on. Sometimes I'll have my headphones in, doing some listening to music, or I'll watch someone else teach it. I'm used to a child climbing on top of me. Like, I'll do a pose with a 5-year-old on my back, which just adds some extra challenge. So my 5-year-old and my 9-year-old are big on that. I have two high schoolers. I have a 15-year-old, or a 16-year-old, and a 14-year-old, and they're big athletes. And so I'm not a big athlete, so I can't speak to them about the sport in particular, but I can teach them about the importance of breath work and staying calm. Like, my daughter is in wrestling, and so like I can't teach her about wrestling, but when she's having these like crazy panicky moments on the mat, like, I can instill in her this need to take a breath and calm down, control your breath, because everything else can come with it. And then my 20-year-old son, who's stepping into the world, this stoicism, I guess. Maybe that's not the right word, but this calmed controlledness, or this need to stay focused, is something that I can also try to share. So it's situational. There are times when I have to tone it all out, and I can just go out in the backyard and do yoga, go in the other room. But I also like to spend time with them. So I have to walk this fine line where it's like, I'm doing it for me, because at the end of the day, you can't pour from an empty cup. But I also want to be present. So it's everything. It's everything.
I know that you already also teach yoga. Can you
Yes.
tell us a little bit about how you got to teach? What kind of practice do you teach? Do you have any specific, like a style or form of yoga that you practice and teach?
It was about 2 years ago. I decided, just to get my yoga teacher training, which I think everyone has the same answer. It's like, I wanted to learn more to deepen my practice. That's what everyone says, and it's true, because when you take classes, it's all great, but you don't understand some of it, or the history, or the philosophies and all that. So I decided to just get my 200-hour yoga teacher training certification. It has definitely helped me better understand how to teach by getting my certification. And then, yeah, I teach in person. There's a gym here that I teach at. I also do occasionally teach private clients. So people have issues where they would rather have one-on-one. So I have a nice little outdoor space here that I've had people come to, and we do some one-on-one work. And because I'm a big person, I'm a firm believer in modifications. Like, I did yoga for years without any blocks on a mat that was too small. And so when I got a bigger mat and yoga blocks and a strap, I realized, oh, I can make this work for me even better. And then breath work. I'm big on breath work. It's been a life-changing experience for me personally, with just like my physical issues, like my high blood pressure, all the way to my anxiety attacks. So learning to control, like, my saying is, if you control your breath, you can calm your body, you can quiet your mind. And so it's kind of a step process. At the end of the day, there's a lot that I can't control, but if I can get ahead of it, and if I can at least control my breath, that allows me to just have that little bit of control. Which, I'm not saying you want to go through like controlling things, but being able to control what you can helps you let go of what you can't control.
These are all yogic qualities, and yoga is so much more than the poses. Yoga is philosophy. Yoga is meditation, mindfulness, awareness, connection to others, connection to ourselves. So it really sounds like the kind of yoga that you are teaching is not just the physical, the asana. And I'd like to hear a little bit more about, when you teach yoga for beginners, for the guys watching this podcast, like, they've never done yoga. Like, what could they expect if they went to one of your classes or private even? Because that's even better. Private is always better than a group class. It's like, and it's a taller guy, big frame guy. Doesn't have a lot of flexibility. Is like, what could they expect from taking a class with you?
I would love for any new person that has never touched yoga before be able to walk in and learn a little bit. I try not to make it intimidating. I don't use any Sanskrit. I try not to use anything that's intimidating because you start talking about Sanskrit or chakras, it's kind of, it can be discouraging because it's so foreign to people. And so I feel like we said before, it's this gateway and people will start doing it for the physical benefits and then they learn more. So it's like you kind of meet them where they are and then eventually feed them more. Because who knows, someone walks through the door, they may just want to feel really good in their body, and that's what I want them to walk away from. But then if someone needs some life-changing, philosophies or something bigger than that, that's also a possibility. So I kind of see myself just working towards, getting more people comfortable, finding more men that, have probably lost touch with themselves and just need a little I don't know, awakening. Is that the right word?
Guys watching the podcast who have never taken a yoga class, just to let you know that sometimes, depending on the teacher, depending on the vibe, the style, the form, you might have some teachers that go very deep into the Sanskrit, into the names of the poses in their original, name, and talk about philosophy, Patanjali, and you've got other teachers who are all about like, let's just get into our bodies and move and breathe and feel good, and all of it is yoga. They're all
Yes.
different versions or forms of yoga, but they're all yoga. And so,
Yeah.
what I always tell people who have never taken a yoga class is like, look around, shop around. There's as many types of yoga as there are human beings because everyone has a different personality, a different life experience, and that's going to show in how they teach it. So,
Yeah.
like I think guys out there who are already vibing and kind of just connecting with you, Jesse, is like family men or guys who have gone through similar life experiences. Is like, just know that there are teachers out there that might be a better match than others. So look around. How can people reach out to you if they want to hear more about your online classes, your in person classes, your retreats, what you're doing? How can people reach out to you?
Uh, they can find me online. I'm on Instagram. I think social media is probably one of the best places. I believe most people are there. My Instagram handle is at Thick and Flow, which is a funny name, and I've had to explain it. I'm a thick guy. I'm a big person, but I'm all about the flow. So Thick and Flow. So ThickandFlow. And coincidentally, that is also my website, thickandflow.com. So yeah, that's it. Like I'm all about being your size and learning to move better. And you made a really good point there. It's about breaking cycles, I guess. And whether that's breaking up the stagnant day to day life or sobriety and breaking years of trauma. They're both cycles that we get stuck in, and taking control and finding the best version of yourself is possible.